Hello, everyone. And just to bring you up to date on a few things that have been transpiring over the past few days. Um, for those of you who saw yesterday's episode at the Second City Saints, during my conversation with Steven, I had mentioned that I believe Biden was getting ready to leave the race, just simply based on some blunders that I've seen. One being that his polling obviously it's not going well. Then you have rumors of so many donors that have been pushing for him to drop out of the race. The names that are constantly being thrown out there as possible replacements. And then, of course, you have the biggest blunder of them all, which was when he tweeted that he was sick. Now, just to go through a few things for those of you who haven't been keeping up with the news as much, let me share my screen here so you guys can see what I'm talking about. And here we go, right? So the first one was here where he tweets that he's sick. Then, of course, there's a video of him walking out from Air Force One very cautiously after he was diagnosed with COVID. And then, of course, on Twitter, there were many people just throwing jabs at him saying that, well, if you got the vaccination, how are you sick? Uh, which I find to be infantile and really, what are you doing, right? Like we're adults, but I understand that there are going to be some people that are going to use things that he said in the past against him in this situation. But as we could see here, there he has that tweet. He was sick. Whoever was watching his social media really did a bad job. That should not have been out there. And really, I kind of like rolled my eyes when I saw it because I'm like, oh man, this is like a disaster for them right now, right? Like the Democrats are kind of like breaking at the seams right now. Nothing is going their way. And then you had that surge, although very minuscule for Trump after the assassination attempt. Um, things aren't looking good for them, right? Then you have here this report from Axios and a few other newspapers mentioning that top Democrats have spoken to the media behind closed doors, and they are mentioning that they believe Biden is preparing to drop out of the race, basically this weekend. And you also have to see that fairly recently, right, the past 7 days, you've seen a change in the tone of how they've been pushing Kamala Harris out, right? Before, you could tell, I mean, most of the country really doesn't like her. Polls even now today show that basically she's same position. If she replaces Biden, uh, President Trump is still going to be ahead. Not by much, but still, something's better than nothing, right? Um, and really, just taking everything into account, everything that is happening and transpiring, the rumors of the DNC's ability to get the donors that are holding back money until Joe Biden steps down. Um, it's not looking good for them, right? Uh, well, let's this next one here, again, this is from the New York Times. It looks like he's finally accepted his defeat, right? I personally like just his the way he's expressing himself, right? It's someone that is not themselves. I mean, I know people are going to say, well, he's not all there and he's senile, but there's a pattern. Like you could see people's mood through their body language, right? And you could definitely tell that he's been defeated. Um, and that's part of the reason why I was saying that I believe he was going to step down yesterday. So if it does come true, hey, that's one for me. I actually will be calling that correctly. And then finally, of course, this is what I was mentioning earlier, right here, where in the polls, she's basically at the same place where Biden is. Um, it's not looking good overall for the Democrats, and really, they put themselves in a corner, right? I know there was other names, especially Newsom was being thrown out there, but unfortunately, the way California has been performing, that huge budget deficit, uh, they just overspent, and uh, and California is a place that I've been keeping my eye on, right? Because for those of you that don't know, I am starting a nonprofit organization, and one of the places I would say, one of the states that I am focused on once I finally get everything up and running is California because of, well, eventually when I mention to you guys what it's about and so on and so forth, that is going to be one of the first places that I visit, and I have been following everything, policies, taxes, what the job growth is like over there, right? I have friends over there. They've been that are constantly telling me to go over there. Um, if God willing, I do have to move. I think Las Vegas is probably as close as far west as I will move out in terms of California. But I have been watching and reading a lot of California. Especially, I get a lot of my news from California Insider. It's a great channel, very informative. I've been watching them for the past few months just to kind of get an idea of how the state is performing and whatnot. And realistically, just seeing what's going on over there, I don't know how they could have thought of having Newsom being the one to replace uh, Joe Biden, right? Especially when you have the vice president, which is Kamala. Now you're forced to really push her. I mean, as much as people don't like, or um, I mean, again, they put themselves in a difficult spot to replace her. That would also be, it's just total disorganization, right? Everything is falling down on them, and again, this is all because based on how they do things, which is why I keep telling everybody, when you make your decisions, you need to base them on logic, right? Look at what is the possible outcome, and then you got to think at least 2 3 steps ahead. So you're going to branch out, and then you can kind of like gauge how things are, right? Because if you're just worrying about uh your next step, it's, it's like chess, right? You don't play chess by just moving one step at a time. You have to, you know think of the 2 3 steps ahead, and then the other variables and permutations of those decisions, right? And that's how you can kind of gauge and get the best outcome for yourself. Unfortunately, when you're constantly pushing this narrative that, hey, we have to push this person because this group needs to be represented, and that person because now you're in a tough spot. So even if, let's say, for example, they were to say, well, we want to put Newsom over Kamala, can you imagine the uproar of the Democratic or the Democrat voters if all of a sudden now you have a white man replacing a black woman, right? Um, Again, that those are things that should not happen in this day and age. Ideally, you should just say, "Hey, here's candidate A. We're gonna replace them with with candidate B because that is the best candidate. Period. That's it." Like, people should not be worried about all those other things, but because of how the Democrats are running things right now, they put themselves in a tough spot. Um, so I guess we're going to see, right, this weekend if it does happen, if not tomorrow, because I would assume, why would they wait on the weekend to announce that they're gonna change Joe Biden, and not just do it tomorrow? Because you have the Democratic convention coming up pretty soon in Chicago, and so whatever's going to be done needs to be done now. And this is, I'll be honest, like, this is, it's unprecedented. Something like this, I mean, unless somebody knows something, and feel free to let me know. I've never seen anything like this happen in American history, right? And I'm pretty good. Maybe in local governments possibly, but at a national level, definitely, I don't remember anything being quite so chaotic. So I mean, there are so many things that have been happening fairly recently that are going to be for the history books, and it's an interesting time. It's a chaotic time, but we shall see what happens, right? But at the end of the day, it's, I just, I tell Stephen, my vote, uh, for my advice to you guys is, when you make your decisions of who you're going to vote for, don't base it on a party. Those parties don't care about you. They're just going to use you for your vote, right? This is why I consider myself an independent. I mean, I put myself as an independent, but really, I'm not affiliated with any party whatsoever. I don't believe there's one particular party that's the best that's going to answer. Now, in a two-way race, right? Then I kind of have to juggle between either the Democrat or the Republicans, right? That's why I was pretty excited with the Forward Party, but unfortunately, I've seen a few things from them since the beginning that have kind of like, it's not what I'm thinking, right? It's not what I was hoping it would be, right? Ideally, I would like a party that's going to push ideas for the vast majority of the population, um, keep everything equal, right? So there is no special treatment for anybody. Everything is based on merit and how hard you work for. Yes, you can help people who uh, need some financial help to get them up and running and things of that nature. But overall, everybody should be treated equally, right? You should all have the same opportunity. So I'm going to leave you with that for today. And if anything else comes up, well, then, hopefully I'll be on and let you guys know. All right. Have a great day.